Why don't we get into our little summaries for folks who may not have been here, or hey, it's been a week, and not only just for the audience, but I often find as a DM or as a PC, just doing a quick little recap helps us remember what's going on or sets our minds like in the game after we have our bit of table talk here. Now, not to pick on Noralai, because I know she was
No.
kind of a homebody in the last session, but there was also some things that occurred in the, in the side RP and such. So, Noralai, why don't we begin with you, and
Mm.
as we pick up, after what's happened, what is going on in your world?
Well, after we left the library, um, some of the party was like, "Oh, let's go find someplace shady," and I'm like, "That's a dumb idea. I'm just gonna go back to the tavern that's paid for." So I went there, and Celine went there, and Celine was drinking a whole lot, which doesn't seem good. And she did some things that I do not appreciate and I don't like, and I mean, I'm kind of feeling a bit better about it now, but I wasn't very happy.
Okay. Anything else to add? Any other actions, revelations?
No, no, that's it.
Okay. Let's pop over then to your roommate of sorts, Celine. Um, the other person was she found alcohol, but she didn't go to Trine, which was the local bar here. Celine, what is going on with you?
Well, Fomori and I's Ouija house has apparently come in San Diego. I think I should have laid off the booze. I just. I need to go back and apologize to Gnarly. I mean. I had to kiss someone to get the nattering in the back of my head to stop so I can focus, but. In hindsight, I probably should have kissed Mordecai.
Oh, geez, Norlai is now the any port in a storm, huh? Oh boy. Well,
Hmm.
you did come back with a Fomorian eye about the size of a soccer ball in a bag, and so that's a thing. And I guess we'll find out what you choose to do with such an interesting whatever.
Right.
um, so speaking of eyeballs falling out, Celine, you weren't the only one to experience that this past evening. Let's go over to Jade. Well, Jade is now currently Jade, but Jade was not necessarily Jade in the night in question here at the Shrine Bar.
No, no, she wasn't. What can I say? It's the alcohol. Right now, she is, well, parts unknown. No idea where she is or what her condition is. Suffice it to say, left the tavern screaming while her face was melting, both literally and figuratively.
Yeah, you had a very interesting experience with yourself being a spell component. Hey, Eldrin, welcome. And let's pop over to Mordecai. Mordecai, you had a bit of a busy evening.
Hmm. That I did. Went to Trine, had a pretty decent time. I'm not unaccustomed to the local scene in the city. Um, did have uh, did have some success in attaining Luciferase, and so and potentially have made us a rather nice seedy friend. Kind of interested in what it is that he has going on and what we may potentially be able to do for him in the
Yes.
way of the fact that we might need to earn some money. But now, going back to the tavern, had a conversation with Celine and Norlai. Witnessed a kiss. That was fun. But talked to Norlai about it a little bit after the fact, and reassured her that that things do happen that way sometimes. Hopefully, my point of what I was hoping to get across was you remember the ones that are memorable. You forget the ones that aren't. And hopefully the next one will be a memorable one. This one doesn't have to mean anything. And now and Bright joined us, and we're all catching up and making sure that we all know what it is that we're doing right now. And so, what's our next step? That's our question.
Then I believe that is a very good prompt to go from our individual recaps into, conversations had, time has passed. Where in this are we? Do you want me to open up? And then we'll. I mean, because Bright's with you all now.
Yeah, Bright's with us now.
Oh, shoot! I'm sorry. Yeah.
Brad is here. Brad is actually here.
Yeah. I.
Bright, you were listening to what she was doing.
Yeah, it's one of those nights, huh, folks? All right. Well, so let's rewind time. And let's go to Bright. Bright, what's going on in your world?
Hey, so it was kind of a bad night for me. I mean, I was kind of the one, I think, who really wanted to go find seedy people the most, but when I found them, they weren't very nice to me. And I thought I looked pretty seedy, but I guess it was almost like I wasn't even there in terms of what I was able to get done. I didn't really make any new friends, and I just got knocked on my butt, and it wasn't very fun. And then I didn't even find Jade, and Celine wasn't there, and Norlai wasn't there, and Mordecai wasn't there, but I wasn't able to talk to him, and it was just a whole big bummer. So I went back to the tavern just to connect with people, and now nobody knows where Jade is. And I don't know if she even wants to be found. And, for a while now, it's been like she doesn't need us as much as she used to, and I'm kind of proud of her for that. But also, I'm also still worried about her because I know she's still Jade, and she still needs us. And I think we need her too. So I don't know if we should look for her or if we should let her have her time. But I definitely think we should investigate the Fomorians because we did see them on the way into town. Mm-hmm. And now that Celine has a reason to go investigate them, I always like to investigate the things that Celine likes to investigate because we actually have a lot of similar interests. We're both the kind of scientists. So that's all.
Okay.
And I'm sorry that Norlai had a bad experience. And but all you can do is move forward, and you know that it wasn't intended as anything bad, and I hope that it doesn't cause her, problems. That's all. Okay, I'm done.
Thank you, Bright. All right, so now we'll fast forward back to the original timeline without having to go back and make that little loop, and here we are. You are, well, with the exception of Jade, who, on the side, sort of unbeknownst to the characters, DJ the Minotaur, with whom she played music, the blues, in a way, last time, ended up finding her having a bit of a moment in the alleyway as she was reverting back to normal from her Rolf personality. And they went to a nearby stable where DJ was staying in order to make sweet music. I mean, Mordecai had a character, that you might have had a run in or a run, or not Celine, I mean, had a run in or a run past. But out of character stuff. But I wanted to throw that in there in case anyone was like, well, so what is going on? And we did cover that last night, so that shouldn't be any new knowledge to us as players and DM. Okay, so eye in a bag. Everyone but Jade is back in the penthouse suite, which is paid for by Ripple Flowerfield. There's vampires out there, possibly Tibba Flowerfield. What do?
Which, Bright, I've been meaning to ask you actually. I may have heard him singing when I cast Sending before entering Shrine. I'm not sure if it was the Sending, though. Is it possible for, like, he was singing a sea shanty? I don't know that I've ever heard him sing one before. Have I?
No.
This is new to me. That was his voice.
It was his voice.
Oh, it looks like Fluffy Sheep's muted. So yeah, that's something. We should probably go find Jade. She's been gone all day.
Team, do you want to go find Jade? Do you want to go to sleep? What?
Am I talking to the air?
Hopefully not. Test.
Test.
Oh my, I said a whole big thing and I was muted this whole time.
Oh, rip.
Oh, and nobody could even tell because I have no camera.
Once more with feeling.
Okay, so I was saying that, do you know if it's like a wild search thing or is it like actually him? Can you even tell?
I don't know. I haven't really experimented much with wild magic. I thought maybe I could borrow your book again.
Yeah. Actually, that's a good question. Can I look through? Because the book is all about unexplained magic. So
Sure.
can I look through the book and see if there's anything in there that might have a correlation?
Might relate.
Yeah. This this is going to take some time to. I mean, it's a book about it, but I mean, you could have a book of history, and there's going to be, if you're looking for a specific piece of history, might be in there. Might take a little while to find. It might take an hour or two to make sure you're going through, and this is the right piece of info. So go ahead and you can make an investigation, or an Arcana at advantage.
With advantage. I like those.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh,
That's a crit.
Good thing for the advantage.
yeah, geez. Feast or famine on that one, huh? So it's either an
Please,
8 or a
please.
27.
One feast, please.
So your investigation began, and you're like, oh, these arcane runes. I don't understand. You just realized that you had the book upside down, and it was really just normal letters. But with magic, who can tell? All right. So the evening, the night continues on. You're flipping through the book, doing a little cross-referencing, and there are some theories about wild magic that are contained in the book. There's nothing that is a consensus of, this is the definitive corroboration amongst all schools of magic about the what's, whys, wheres, etc. But you do find a couple theories about wild magic. Let's see. The first is wild magic is an area where a person's will, their thoughts, their intentions, the mark that they leave You know, like the thumbprint on the universe that they leave by being, a being of existence. It's easier to leave that mark. It's sort of like a bruise on a ripe fruit. It's an area that the cloth has unraveled slightly, and so as one part of magic theory is that magic is simply the imposition of one's will on reality. This is an area where that imposition is easier, and so Mordecai. I guess I'm speaking a little bit through Bright, or I'm also speaking as your brain to you, Mordecai. You were trying to find Tibba, and a wild magic surge occurred as your spell. I mean, obviously your spell didn't work as you know it should be intended to work, but you were trying to find Tibba, and so that theory of the imposition of your will on reality in this area of liminality. I'll try and use big words to sound like I'm a fancy writer of arcane magic in a book. It may have had this effect of granting you what you wanted. It doesn't necessarily rule out that it was simply a song in your mind and Tibba doesn't exist, or it wasn't Tibba, but it also doesn't rule out that also wasn't sort of the superimposition of your will, and you actually did hear Tibba singing, because that was your heartfelt desire as you cast that spell. And so you didn't just get the effect of the spell in a sterile fashion of, you know, I move my fingers and I go ooga booga and the spell manifests in a very predictable fashion. You got your heart's desire, more than just the sterile mechanics of a spell. Because even for bards, I mean, you cast off of, out of character terms, you cast off charisma, so it is, it's an expression of yourself, but the spell is the spell is the spell. And in this case, it wasn't the spell. So it was a little different there. There's also just the fact that wild magic is random. It doesn't resound with the soul. It is simply what occurs. And if you want to take that into a superstitious or religious fashion, there are plenty of learned folk who are willing to argue either side. And in fact, sometimes one will argue one, and then just for the fun of it, they'll switch teams and argue on the other side against people who did the exact same thing. Because who knows, and it's fun. Because look, don't tell any wizards you know, but they're kind of weird.
That's not very nice.
I like wizards.
And also getting into things too. Pardon. The major wild magic zones known in Mesotopia are in the Fallfire Plains, and then here at the northern tip of Mesomasca, which falls at the end of just an interesting series of events where some sort of a large crater just sort of like crashed into the eastern tip of the Fallfire Plains, like plunging it into the ocean. And then we have kind of a midway point where a volcanic ridge erupted. And then we get to the northern... so we've gone completely east in the Mesotopia region. I don't know. So I didn't really have a Mesotopia map either uploaded or that existed. But when we look at...
yeah, I've seen the map.
But when we look at it, I'm going to check real quick to see if I do have... No, it didn't load. So boo on that.
Probably still in the Discord, but I mean, I guess you probably still have the art file.
I'd have to dig it up, but so something happened at the Fallfire Plains. I mean, it's called the Fallfire Plains for a lot of different colloquial reasons. One of those being something fell that was on fire. I mean, something caused great devastation on the eastern tip that ended up possibly leading into this volcanic ridge, which does include a dragon graveyard, by the way. And then you have the northern tip of Mesomasca, which is also a phenomena of some supernatural caliber with this wild magic. and so something could have occurred back in history that it was disruptive, and we move away from, well, it's one's will, to it's whatever, to this is maybe it's a whatever, but it's a predictable. There's a scientific explanation for the randomness. So you can believe or disbelieve any of these, maybe a little bit of all of them, a little bit of none of them. Put together what you will with the things that you've discovered along the way, and you can continue researching, you can continue asking questions, but through Bright's mouth to your ears, Mordecai, these are revelations about wild magic.
So just as a question to you, Matty, do I get a sense that my sending is being blocked, or is that it's not finding a target?
No, you're sending
just yet?
So much as there's an innate feel for casting magic. Your spell it's going off, right? It is consumed.
Right.
As we quantify as players and DMs what spell slots are, we take game mechanics and we sort of paper it over a little bit into, personal exertion, gifts from gods, however it manifests. Mordecai's own winning smile, for his magic. The magic manifested and occurred. So as far as it being blocked or it was manipulated somehow, and most likely through wild magic, but there's nothing that would have told you that it was or was not blocked with a definitive, if it was blocked, it wasn't returned to sender. How about that?
Right.
From what I know about sending, because it's a spell that we practice, it's pretty hard to block it. The only thing that can really block it is an anti-magic field. And there's a couple other things, but they don't last very long. So,
From what I understand about anti-magic fields, those are pretty strong.
They are, yeah. So whoever, which he's probably not, but if he is, I see three possibilities. One is that he's dead, and the wild magic caused the sea shanty to appear, and maybe he's not. Maybe it could be like metaphorical, like maybe he's journeying. Because sometimes, maybe we could ask Celine about this, because I don't really know these things. But sometimes, like when you die, you take a metaphorical journey, and you might have to cross like an ocean or a river, and it could just be that. But also, he's dead, and the people are taking his body somewhere, and we hear them singing, and maybe his soul is with them, and he's like singing along because he doesn't know what else to do. But the third thing is maybe he's been like turned into a vampire and made evil, and he's actually like singing along with them, and he just doesn't want to talk to us. Options that I see. Any of those options? So the one where it's an anti-magic field and they're just taking him somewhere and we can't tell where because there's an anti-magic field, that's actually probably the best, although it means it's going to be a really long time. Yeah, it's going to be a really long time before we find him, and who knows what'll happen by then. But if they're taking him over the ocean, then that doesn't make sense because, let me look at the Discord here.
Reference
let
our
me look
maps.
at this map of Mezamaska that we have. Because there's not a port here, right? They would have had to take him back to Mask of Flowers, but they took him here.
Correct.
And they took him here where the flower fields are and where there's all this stuff going on, and there's not boats. So it doesn't make sense that they take him here and then somehow put him on a ship, even though they had a couple extra days.
Yeah.
So,
maybe they're hanging out. We'll find out, I guess.
Yeah, so I don't know that we find him where we are now, unless maybe we'll turn something up. I don't know. I don't know.
One of the plans was to scout for vampires in the countryside, or to travel to a couple different locations, which may be able to grant more insight as well.
I don't know. I think the Fomorians are probably hanging fruit right now because we haven't really, we haven't really followed up the Fae side of things. We've mostly been focusing on the vampires because I think the vampires are the worst ones. No offense. And also, um,
I don't take
Yeah,
any offense to that, yeah.
but that seems to have kind of come to a bit of a.
Yeah.
So I think we should look at the Fomorians because they are here, and maybe we'll find something while we're there.
For sure.
Yes, Fomorians. Hmm.
You haven't really
They were
told us
trying to
what you
turn me
gathered
into
from
one.
them. What? Turn
Yeah.
you-
Why is everybody always turning everybody into things?
I know, right?
I mean,
Can't they just leave well enough alone?
Because the ancient races don't understand the meaning of autonomy, and I hate it. I hate it so much. I mean, look, Celine would like kind of tilt and reveal the fact that she's kind of, she's been bleeding a bit from her ears because of the level of psychic damage that she took last session. That was like 2/3 of my health just out of character.
Are you okay?
It's just like, that was the result of them trying to turn me into one of them.
Actually, since we did rattle your brain a little bit, Celine, and we're having an interesting conversation, you are proficient in Arcana, aren't you?
I will check that. I'm pretty sure I am, but I will check that for you. I am, yes.
Okay, I thought as much. Tell you what, why don't you roll me an Arcana to see if anything, as we've been, your brain has been touched by the Fomorians. We've had an interesting introspection into wild magic and just the what ifs and what's going on here. Maybe you can come up with something. Hey, all
That's
right.
an Arcana check for 15, which
15's
isn't too bad.
No, it's not too bad at all. Given the conversation, so I'm setting up the context for why an idea like this is spawning in your brain, and you could propose this or not. I'm not telling you that this is the truth, but I'm going to put an idea in your brain that you can offer to the others. With one of the magical research notes that says magic is the imposition of one's will on reality. We do go back now a ways to these more ancient days of the Shadowheart Empire, or at least its origins, its progenitors. Then whatever happened to create these vampires, possibly stemming from the Empire or something that occurred. And we go to the Fae, who are themselves very primordial beings of the world. And now that you've had contact with these Fomorians, and not just the Fomorians, but vicariously the dragons, as the Fomorians said, we existed alongside the dragons. And that was even before the Fae and them, were starting to really act up. And so much to the point where the Fae banished, in a sense. I mean, whatever happened to them, they're dead or alive, or they're phased, or you come up with a term. But that the Fae banished these Fomorians for being some kind of a threat. And of course, because you studied in the area, there's a big old dragon graveyard that exists for some reason. Why did all the dragons go there and die? What happened? These are legitimate questions. But we see now these beings that many can consider to be very fundamental pieces of history that could trickle out to the current culture that you live in through your studies or through different practices, bloodlines, things along those lines. And we now have, even with your modern magic, why does everyone, or at least especially all these ancient beings, why do they want to turn people into something? what's the point of them doing that, or what empowers them to be able to do that to people?
That is a very good question. I mean, we've only had talks of this in wild magic zones, so it could be the fact that, because the fabric is unraveled just a little bit, that they are more
Too much, maybe.
a little bit too much, yes. But I mean, it could also be that they no longer possess bodies of their own and require conduits.
That's fair.
Some of them. That's actually a good point, because the dragon was constructed, and
Yeah.
then they're turning people into things. The only one who has their own body seems to be Jack.
Well, even then, not particularly. He kind of, rattles around in here.
That's a question to ask him.
I know, but we passed some pixies and things on the way, and most of those fey creatures seem to be more or less normal.
But
Yeah, I
maybe
think
maybe it's the more powerful ones that don't have bodies anymore.
it's possible. That's very possible.
Because Orlon seems like he was pretty powerful. I mean, we simply ran from him, but I wasn't about to find out.
No, exactly. And, I got covered in goop.
Yeah, that was not
It
fun.
was kind of.
Oh, yeah! You don't say!
Now, one amongst you, and I'll tell you, it's not Celine who was slimed by Faye. One amongst you has very, well, I don't mean like romantically intimate, but intimate contact with the Fae. And might hold, whether he or she, because it could be anyone, knows, has more information. If you all are going to sit down and do a little bit of, I guess you're kind of literally burning the midnight oil. Well, let's face it, you're out of a bar. I think we're past midnight here.
We should find
yeah.
Jade.
So
I mean, yeah, we should also go and find Jade. God, we just knows what she's doing right now.
but if you are having a brainstorming powwow, this is another element that has been brought up. I guess speaking in out of character, this is something that has been introduced and brought up in the context of the game. And it could play into, because you all are in a research mode right now, which is perfectly fine. Part of the presentation is, mystery and what's happening and solving it and unraveling. So I can offer that to you as well as a DM, not leading you. We're not whoo-hoo on railroad tracks with that, but it is it's at least in your all's peripheral vision to consider. Now, if you do want to go and find Jade, I mean, she's somewhere. Something's happening.
She should be okay for the most part. I mean, she can defend herself. I mean, she's the strongest out of all of us.
I mean, she's been gone all day. Have any of you heard from her?
No.
I haven't talked to her since this morning.
Yeah, because she didn't want to go to the library.
I mean, didn't she, like... I mean, at last I checked, didn't she guys go to, like, the bar with you? Or did she do her thing where she changes into someone else and...
We don't know.
Out of character, she was not with them to the bar.
In character, she went to her room, and we haven't seen her since.
Huh. Well, I mean, she's not here, so obviously she didn't come to the room. Because if someone was in there, because if someone was here, well, I mean, Norelai and I would know at least.
Yeah, she wasn't here when we came.
So...
We really should have questioned it then, but I guess we were kind of tired from the library.
Yeah, you know, dodging all those sentry plants.
Oh, it was books for me. I think Mordecai too. But like, books just fall. They're like attack books.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah.
I don't know about attack books. I know more about attack plants.
Yeah.
I've never had a book attack me.
Well, I mean,
I've spent a lot of time in libraries, and all the books have been really well behaved.
That's good.
But Mordecai, you said that a book hit you too.
And
Yeah,
Matty,
you had
that
good
was my
library
own
friends.
fault. I was being clumsy.
if you would allow me, I would like to make an Arcana check as to knowing the existence of a particular spell.
Then I mean, speaking out of character, so that I can offer an appropriate interaction. What are we talking about? Something like super obscure, like something that'd be like a high level, like a level 8 or 9, where only like 10 people on the planet might know this magic,
5.
or
No, level 5.
a level
I mean,
5.
I have always, out of
Okay.
character again, I've always been playing it that I know all the spells on the wizard spell list, but I don't know the spells like on the cleric spell list. You know, so that's because that's the background that my character would have had.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I mean, is this a cleric spell,
just gonna
or
make
are you kind of leaving your prayer zone of asking Ouijas for spells, and this is, could you pick something up on the way for another class?
Let me have a look, and I will tell you.
Okay.
I could always cast
Fuck.
Sending and see where Jade is. See if she'll respond.
5th level there, and some clerics might get it, like the Forge cleric might get it, but I do not.
Okay. Go ahead and well, I'll tell you what. In that regard, instead of Arcana, why don't we go Religion, and we'll see if it's something you might have picked up in ancillary studies of other domains, of other practitioners, of your kind of faith magic.
That is a 16.
Okay, for a level 5 spell, I mean, you're a cleric. This is, if it is in the, I mean, to use the popular phrase, if it's in the wheelhouse of another cleric domain or two, then yeah, I think a level 5 spell would be fine for you to at least have heard of or be to be familiar with its existence. You know, maybe not the intricacies. You're not at that level yet, so you might not know what certain, ooga booga hand gestures and words mean. But you do know that there are, high-ranking people of faith who have performed, well, whatever you're looking for in this case.
Yeah, no, it's just knowledge that the spell exists.
Okay.
Is the thing there, and yes, one kind of cleric, although that particular cleric domain isn't in the PHB, one kind of cleric does get this spell as a domain spell. I mean, I have heard of some very obscure cleric order. They mainly worship gods of the Forge and whatnot, who can bring inanimate objects to life.
So attack books.
Yes, in the most literal of sense. Literally animate books and make them fly around the room and attack you.
See,
Sounds like-
there are attacks.
You know, but that's, I mean, I know about that too, but those aren't like books, right? That's the wizard doing it, or the cleric, if the case may be.
But it's still a book attacking you.
Or worst case scenario, some kind of telekinesis or something.
Telekinesis.
I'm not beyond that, but
Okay, so now that we've established the existence of attack books, but probably not these books.
Pretty sure it was an attack
I know I was being clumsy.
because it was in the same section as the books on the attack plants.
So you think like the books had so much information on attack plants that it turned them into attack books?
That's
Maybe.
not how that works.
Is that how magic works?
No, that's not how.
Kind
it
of
works.
is.
I don't know.
I mean,
Kind of weird.
I mean, sometimes
something,
that's how
And then
magic
something
works.
weird will happen. You guys know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, well, I mean, we've lived that several times over.
Yeah, it's literally just like this place. But this place, like, it's weird because I don't want to do it. Because I'm okay when it just happens to me. But when it happens to everyone else, I don't want to do it. Because then it's like, oh, it's going to be, like, even worse for me.
It might be. I don't know.
It's
Maybe
not
you'll
really
learn
like
to
it
control it.
Maybe.
Maybe. I mean,
Maybe.
it usually is kind of fun. Like, this one time, these cute little things appeared, and then they ran away. That was kind of sad because I wanted to pet
Chicken
them.
on my face.
Oh,
Do you
yeah.
trust them?
I'm just gonna go over and pet his chicken, the chicken beard. Oh yeah, see, stuff like this. It hasn't happened to me yet, but like, it's a cute little chicken. You should give it a name. You should call her Henrietta.
I'm not naming the chicken.
What about Clucky?
Have you, like,
You
fed
can
the
go
chicken?
fuck off.
Does the chicken drink blood? Or do you, like, give it birdseed? How is that working? Or is it a starving chicken?
How am I feeding this chicken, Daddy?
You haven't, but it's alive. It is.
I haven't really
Functioning.
made a conceited effort, I don't think. Except to eat
Maybe
myself.
it pecks at the oatmeal you pretend to eat.
I generally don't pretend to eat.
Well, maybe you should. And then just let the chicken eat it.
It's not
And
gonna
then-
do anything for me.
You don't actually eat.
I'm content sipping on my water skin all day long. Thanks. As weird
Yes,
as that
your water skin filled with
yeah.
blood.
But no, the chicken is not required food or water from you.
Fair enough.
It's probably being kept. It's probably being kept alive by magic.
by magic, by me, by
That's- Probably draws life energy from you. It probably costs you like 10 drops of blood a day.
as long as it's nothing significant. I do want it off. It's gotta come off.
But it's so cute.
You can have
Well,
it
I mean-
after.
Oh, okay.
We just need to find him the dust of sneezing, and then
Mhm.
he'll get rid of the chicken. I just don't know where to find any.
Same.
I mean, I know where to find some, but I mean, I don't want to go back to Uck for it.
Mm.
That's a long way.
I mean,
That is a ways away.
here's an idea.
Although I have
What
to
have
get
you
on
tried?
the
What
ship.
have you tried to get it? What have you tried to get it off?
Bright sneezed in it.
Yeah, I sneezed on the chicken, and it didn't seem to help. I mean, maybe it helped a little, but it didn't come off.
I mean,
You said
I
that
mean,
you could sneeze on
Mordecai.
purpose, so
Mordecai, have you tried sneezing?
I can't sneeze on purpose. I have a hard time sneezing in hay fever.
Hold on. Matty, is there any pepper in the room currently?
No. You may be in a penthouse suite, but just having random pepper around. I'm gonna have to draw
Maybe-
the line.
Maybe we can
Maybe
find
get
some
upstairs.
at breakfast time.
Yeah, we'll find some at breakfast. I mean,
an
whatever
idea.
that will be.
Is dust of sneezing made of pepper?
Maybe.
Magic.
Hmm.
I don't know. I never learned to make it.
That's magic pepper.
I knew a guy who dusts.
Uh-huh.
Although sneezing wasn't really the one. I liked the itching one more. It was more my style.
Mm.
What if it really
Oh,
just
for-
is
for
literally
free.
pepper, but the gnomes tell you it's magical so they can sell it for 3 times as much?
No, that's the sort of thing that rock gnomes would do, not forest gnomes. We're not greedy like that.
naturally.
I've only known one rock gnome in my life.
I've
Light
never
but
met a
harmless.
rock now.
Let's Okay, what are we doing? We're wasting time. What are we doing?
Yeah. Well, we're talking about chickens. We're all having a good time.
Yeah.
We
But,
are. It's true. I
Let's
wouldn't say.
Marianne's. But I would also like to find Jade if she wants to be found.
like I said, I can cast Sending, see if she'll respond.
Let's see if that happens first, because there's no point in running out into the city at this time of night and trying to find her where she could be anywhere.
That would also tap me for the night, though. For high levels-ish stuff.
Yes.
So what else are we doing tonight?
We could take
probably
Herbert
just
out
going to
again,
rest.
and he could snap when he smells her.
I could do with a rest. I've been exceedingly rattled.
I mean, like, okay, so, Norlai, Herbert doesn't seem like he's actually that useful of a detection plant, because it has to be close. Like, in the same penthouse, even, he's not detecting us across the room.
Well, that's because he's in the other room.
Yeah, you would think. I mean, based on our
Well,
encounter the other night, they could detect us from a ways away.
yeah, but he's just a youngin. He's not full grown.
Like the plant that met us when we came into the city was really big.
Yes,
Yeah.
it was.
And like Herbert's
827 times the size of Herbert.
Mm-hmm.
Approximately.
So it's not, you can maybe find her if she's like 5 feet ahead of you.
But you know, he'll get and then we can use him to find all the vampires.
It's not effective.
Yeah, it is. It also means vampires can't sneak up on him, because if they get close, he'll go snap.
I mean, Tazray did seem to sense that I was a vampire, even though I didn't tell him. So,
Can you smell vampires?
I haven't tried.
Oh, you should try. Maybe you can try to smell out Jade.
You realize how much of a weird statement that is. Because you're totally willing to tell me that I should open up my own senses to find the vampires, and yet not use Luciferase to do the same thing?
Yeah, 'cause that's a drug. You got like natural like senses that you could use.
Both of which could be addictive.
But it's just your nose. You can't be addicted to your nose.
I could be addicted if it costs me extra energy. And if I have to spend extra energy and I have to get blood to do that, I don't want to do that.
Well, how do you know unless you try it? Because it's literally just using your little sniffer.
It's maybe a little bit more complicated than that. I don't
I mean,
know.
you might smell chicken for a while, but I think you could get past that.
I'm already past that.
See, you're already a step ahead.
I mean, I suppose, if we're okay with this.
Norla, you're not proficient in animal handling, are you?
Nope.
Okay. Just checking.
None of us are.
He's proficient in plant handling.
Very
Knowledge, nature? Are you proficient in nature?
You,
Nope. Okay.
let me check.
I am proficient
Not-
in persuasion. If I need to persuade him to do it.
So am I.
I'll tell you what, Norlai. You can make either an animal handling or a nature at disadvantage.
Let's go animal handling.
Okay.
No.
Carry on.
You guys make me do a heckin' concern sometimes.
So I mean, with the
Hold on.
5, you're
Real
you're having a
quick,
conversation.
real
You
quick.
are no particular insight is tickling your noggin.
Wait, Maddie. Could I
Yeah.
use Tides of Chaos on this roll to get advantage?
I don't know. Is that just for spells, or will that allow for checks too?
Starting at first level, you can manipulate the forces of chance and chaos to gain advantage on one attack roll, ability check, or saving throw.
And
To
when do
cancel
you?
out the disadvantage, it would still just make it a flat roll.
It would
yeah,
make
which
it
is
a.
a 5.
It would
So
make it a
there's no
flat roll. Are you allowed to
No,
use it
no,
after the fact, or do you have to declare
Well, I thought it was nature at disadvantage or just straight animal handling.
it? No.
it
Both
was
of them were
both
at disadvantage.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
Okay. But hey, keep that in mind.
Um,
And I thought it was like straight animal handling or nature at disadvantage.
yeah, no. Tides of Chaos is any check that she makes. She can make it at advantage instead. Like aside to death saving throw, but even then. And she gets that once per long rest until she casts a spell of first level or higher, in which you can make her roll on the surge table, and if you do, she regains the use of the feature.
Okay, then.
Characters delicious chickens taste
Tastes good when fried.
Yes.
With pepper. Okay.
Alright. So,
So...
we're not doing anything else tonight. I can cast Sending and see where Jade is.
Or just tell her that we miss her and she should come.
Would she believe that from me?
Honestly, probably not. And I can't cast Sending.
I don't know that spell either.
Can't?
It's a pretty hard spell.
It's not my forte. I'm sorry.
I've been working on a new spell where I can turn people into other creatures, but so far I can only turn myself into a sheep, which is why I look this way today.
Doomfish, thank
Okay.
you for the raid. Welcome.
I suppose I will cast Sending at Jade.
Okay.
Lacuna fried chicken.
And tell her that we're at the Tumbled Wench. We haven't really seen you all day. Are you okay?
There it is. Okay, your spell goes off without a hitch. In the penthouse. Hashtag
Yeah,
just
I
saying.
just hope that you don't. Yeah, don't want to set the entire room on fire if you accidentally roll a fireball on the search table. That'll
To be
be.
fair, that hasn't happened yet.
Nope.
Yeah.
I like that optimism. We gotta explore
Yeah.
the unknown frontiers of magic. All right, so Mordecai, you send you send out your sending here. What's your message?
Choose your words very carefully.
I think you only get 25 of them.
Well, I just said unless there's more that I can. I mean, like, basically what I just said is that we're at the Tumbled Wench. We haven't seen you all day. Are you okay?
Okay. So the words manifest. You know, that feeling, that wild magic, sort of like that drawing or that sort of static in the air kind of feeling. You know, buzzes around a little bit but doesn't go off. Your spell, however, does. Woo. It has been sent. It has been cast, and I will. I will roll in order to see if Jade is receptive to this, to your sending. Okay. You get back some kind of a... It's not a word reply, but it's kind of a static. And That would imply that your spell had reached its target, but the target is not able to receive the message. Most likely due to being asleep or unconscious, or otherwise the mind is... The message, like, it went to voicemail in a way. You know, because there's the dream spell, which can speak explicitly to unconscious people. Sending just sends a message that people can reply to. So your sending manifested, but you don't really get a reply. Just, you know, kind of a little static white noise going on.
Okay. So now I kind of know what sending to an unconscious person sounds like.
There we go.
It was what sending to Tibba was like.
Tibba was like, yeah.
Rule that out, so that's good to learn.
Progress.
I got static interference. I guess, I don't know. She didn't really respond.
Well, maybe her antenna isn't out. So maybe if the wild magic turns her into a rabbit, and then she can adjust her ears.
Okay, well, that's a thing.
I would like to
Mm-hmm.
rest. I guess I should. Don't really trust it here very much. And I think maybe we
do
should
a watch.
watch. I know spell. I don't know if we want to risk it because it's a spell, but we should either keep a watch or I can
I mean,
spell that'll
generally
keep us
speaking,
safe.
I don't sleep.
It's
So
true.
He waits.
I'll stay out in the front room.
Okay. All right. That's probably the safest. These are locked too.
Yeah. I'll stay out in the front room. And,
Okay.
I don't know, read or something.
Very well. Bright, Celine, Norlai, are you all
read
gonna...
My book if you want to.
Sure.
Go to bed.
Okay, good night.
Yeah, been up for a while.
Mordecai, do you speak
I-
Gnomish at all?
I don't speak Gnomish.
Okay.
I speak Common and Infernal.
I need the healing.
You got healing
But,
surges. Oh, they're not called healing surges anymore. In a prior edition, you have healing surges.
In this edition, I have hit dice.
You have hit dice. That's true. And hit dice don't cause wild magic to manifest.
No, but neither does sleep.
You say that.
As in the activity, not the spell. Just to clarify.
Well, I don't know. Mordecai, you're tapped out for spells, aren't you?
3rd level, but I have my others.
If you want to magically top off Celine, she does have a bit of a...
No. I'll just take it. I'll just have a rest. I
Have
need
a good
one.
rest.
Yeah. For Morian's trying to do unspeakable things to my brain kind of hurts.
Yeah, that eye.
Oh, speaking of, what should I do with this soccer ball sized eye?
That's gross. You should get rid of it.
I don't know what to do with that. You
Well,
brought
we
it
can
with
decide
you.
in the
I
morning.
thought maybe you had an idea what to do with it.
Well, I mean, I don't even know a lot about the Fomorians. So
Neither do I. This
I mean, we can take it to someone who does.
is new.
I wanna see if Herbert will snap at it.
Yeah, actually, let's
Let me
put
go
it
get
in
it.
front of Herbert before I go to bed. Let's see if Herbert will snap at it.
So I go to the back room and grab Herbert, and I take him up to the eyeball.
Mm-hmm.
Put him a safe distance away so he won't actually bite it, but see what he does.
Yeah, so Celine will move the eyeball close to Herbert, whilst keeping her own distance because, well, we do know that it reacts to Celine. So Celine will, does she have
Not
a cantrip
interfere.
to do that? Yes.
Just put it on the
Okay.
table.
Yeah, so she's gonna put it on the table and then move far back.
Sure. All right. So with a little like a schlorp sound, the Fomorian, the big like evil eye, kind of bug eye or stink eye that the Fomorians have, you rested on this very elegant table. Oh, mahogany, very well carved, but it is now covered in eyeball juice. Herbert
clean it up
is brought close, but not close enough, and Herbert doesn't seem to react to the Fomorian eye. Nothing unusual.
Okay, well, we'll clean the table and pick the eyeball back up and put it away in its little sack.
I have a very good like out of character thought now, but it's not something I would think of.
Norlai, with your interaction with this eyeball, your relatively close proximity, you get an odd feeling, and I'm not going to describe to you as a DM, other than it just feels odd to you, in some way, like I don't know, like a tingle up your spine.
Does it feel different than me being grossed out? Because I already
Correct.
am.
It is not being grossed out is very specific. I mean, you feel yourself kind of thrown up a little bit in your mouth. This is just you feel different. You feel tingly without the pins and needles. It's a very odd experience for you. Because it's not an emotion necessarily. It's something. But being in relatively close proximity to this eye, and I mean this eye is gross. It is it is what it is. But it's given you some sort of a vibe.
I like that. I'll pick up Herbert and step away and just be like, that's making me feel weird. Yeah.
So, what do we know about the history of the Fomorians?
Nothing. I don't, anyway.
Okay,
This
because
whole ghost thing is new. It's a new phenomenon.
so here's the thing. Norlai is a little more Fae connected than the rest of us because we found her in the Fae dungeon prison, and she still hasn't told us what she was doing in there. And also, she's got that weird crystal sticking out of her.
I did tell you what I was doing in there. It was captured. It was just really just kind of sitting there for a while.
That's it.
Yeah,
That's not very good information.
but that's the information. The information is I was at one of the flower fields, and then I was in a cave. And
You don't know how you got there
no,
at all?
I thought it was one of my spells because I have this one spell that just kind of like. Poof. Although
Yeah, I know
I
the same.
couldn't go around, but like, so I was just there, and usually it's somewhere I can see, but I didn't see it that time, so I don't even know. And I was there, and then they told me not to use magic, or
Were you conscious for this?
yeah, most of it. I slept a lot though, because there wasn't much to do.
No, when you disappeared and reappeared.
I think so.
And it
was
didn't
very
feel like
sudden.
your spell.
No. I mean, maybe it felt like my spell, but I know it wasn't my spell because for my spell I need to see where I'm going. It was a while ago, so I don't really remember.
Is someone teleporting people? Is that what's going on right now?
That certainly sounds like what happened to her.
Yeah, no, very uncannily like someone being forcefully teleported.
Now she's got this crystal. Did you get the crystal at the same time you were teleported, or was it different?
I don't know. I didn't really notice it for a few days. I was just there one time at one point, and I was like, "Huh? When did this happen?"
Is there the crystal, like with your hands, does anything weird happen?
No, I poked at it for a while. It doesn't do anything.
And like pull it out. Has anyone else ever touched it?
No, because that's perverted. Yep.
It doesn't have to be perverted. It could be like a doctor.
I don't know. I don't.
Or any of your
haven't seen it.
captors?
What?
Did any of your captors touch it?
No, it was just those fairy people, and they didn't really do much. They give me food every once in a while, but that's about it.
So here's what I'm thinking. Okay, is I know a spell where I could maybe learn something about your magic crystal, but because of what happened to the people in the mine, I don't really want to touch it.
Yeah.
So, and I have to touch it, and I don't want to, and also I don't know if Norlai wants me to.
Yeah, I don't like.
There's no way that you could magically not touch it and still be able to get the information.
I mean, I've really been trying to think of a way, and I can't think of one. There doesn't seem to be a lot of wiggle room in the spell.
Weird. Out of character, I have an idea of how you could possibly do that if it's a touch spell.
Not a touch spell. It's a self spell that
Yikes.
requires you to touch the object as part of the target. Oh no! Wait a minute! Maybe it is a touch spell. Let's see. Let me look. Because I've been thinking about that, and then somehow I thought it wouldn't work, but maybe it will.
Maybe you could just teach me the spell and I can do it.
I don't know. Okay, so here's the thing. It's a range of touch. And so, how would you like to snuggle with Piggy Sue for a few minutes?
Peggy Sue's really cute right now. So maybe...
That's an idea.
And I wish I had video because she's even cuter than usual. But if you would snuggle with Piggy Sue and make sure that she touches your crystal the whole time, I can learn about your crystal.
Yeah, I guess we could do that. How
She's
long?
a fae, so it probably won't hurt her. It'll take 11 minutes.
11 minutes? That's a nice snuggle time. We can do that.
Well, go ahead and okay, poof. Can't see her, but she's here. Okay, and she can flutter over and you can snuggle her.
Jeez.
Oh my.
There we go. All right.
Knocking all sorts of things over, Norlai.
Everything that fell over was a plush toy.
She regrets
I
nothing.
appreciate the fact you brought up Pinkie Pie.
That's one. I also have Rainbow Dash, but I think she fell.
Oh no.
Oh, hey, One Crit Wonder, thank you very much for the raid. Welcome to you and your raiders. I hope your session went pretty well. I know you all. Yeah, the party's here. Well, One Crit, you're always welcome here. Thank you so much for that. All right, so Noralai, through Peggy Sue, who as a wizard's familiar can cast spells, touch spells through her. You want to ensure that she is snugged up against your sternum crystal, and allow Bright to cast the spell through the familiar in order to try and glean some information, correct?
Mm-hmm.
All right. The ritual goes off of Identify after a little bit of cuddling time here. And...
Ugly spells are the best spells.
Okay. That little bit of static does fill the air, but it's harmless. I don't know. A couple of your hairs kind of stand up on end, as per static, and
Usually have a couple's hair standing up anyway, so it's not a big deal.
Let's see. So you choose one object that you must touch throughout the casting of the spell. If it is a magic item or some other magic imbued object, you learn its properties and how to use them. whether it requires attunement to use, and how many charges it has, if any. You learn whether any spells are affecting the item and what they are. If the item was created by a spell, you learn which spell created it. If you instead touch a creature throughout the casting, you learn what spells, if any, are currently affecting it.
Pretty sure she's doing both.
I'm hoping the crystal is at least a magic imbued object.
I want to make sure I'm tailoring this in an appropriate fashion here. Actually, I may have. Oh, I don't think it exists in this edition. All right. So, and that's fine because we're going to be going a little bit off the grid with the feedback you're getting from this identification. You are getting feedback despite Peggy Sue's little unicorn, like her sensing horn or whatever, touching Noralai's crystal embedded in her sternum. But the feedback you're getting is from a creature. And the magic you're getting back from her is a form of transmutation, which would be similar to polymorph, but in a different way. It would be it'd be like some sort of like a baleful polymorph. Hint, hint. So she is being affected by this spell. This spell is upon her. It's a spell that is meant to change one's form and physiology. It is meant to afflict a creature. But the creature before you, unless it has somehow taken Noralai's form, because did any of you know her, what she looked like before you met her? Noralai is under the effect of this baleful polymorph style spell.
So that's interesting. Was that Noralai specifically, or from the crystal itself? Or both?
Your familiar made contact with the crystal as per your wishes. Okay. The feedback came as per a creature. And
okay. So that's really interesting.
I've been thinking about learning polymorph.
So, Celine, can you, do you know how to, do we want to dispel it? Is it even safe for Noralai to do that?
I don't know.
I can dispel it. Whether that's a good idea or not, but I can.
I mean, I don't know that maybe we don't want to do it tonight necessarily. Maybe we want to do it in the morning when you're in better shape.
Yeah, actually, so I don't
when
get
you're not rocking
a
supernatural migraine.
I mean, if we wanted to try it tonight, I still have a few things in my pocket.
We'll have a sleep and figure this out in the morning.
Yes, that's interesting.
Because that means if someone accidentally erupts into a fireball, I'll have the ability to deal with it.
Yeah, because I've been working on something to actually create polymorph on myself.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Is that to hide the chicken?
No, it's actually maybe to be able. It's actually maybe to do a little bit more along the lines of protecting myself. You know, last a little bit longer. I keep getting knocked out. That's my thoughts.
Been a recurring theme. Okay, so, do we want to do it in the room either? Like, not only in case there's a wild search, but also in case, like, we let something bad out.
What? Sorry, say again.
Said, do we want to? I mean, if we do it, because I mean, it's really, I think it has to be Norlai's final decision. But if we do it, I think we should do it outside and not in the room. Just not only in case something explodes, but also in case we let something bad out of the crystal.
Yeah, that's definitely a worry. Because what if Norlai, you're harboring some kind of fae?
I wouldn't know. Just thought it was a gem. I mean, it doesn't look like a valuable gem, but it's some type of.
Well, let us figure that out in the morning and outside.
Yes.
Yeah.
For now, sleep time.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll just snuggle.
Okay. Then Mordecai is going to be resting. I mean, like you're sitting and thinking, whatever.
Watching, which I'm pretty sure that I do pretty much every night since I've been turned anyway, is lying awake, resting, doing nothing.
Okay, so
unless there's some kind of unless I have to like basically shut down at some point.
Not necessarily. It is a damned existence to not have to, breathe. Like you're breathing manually, to not have to do a lot of things. And in this case, you don't get to sleep, which could be good, could be bad, because you get 8 hours to think. But then again, you get 8 hours to think. Your brain doesn't necessarily have an off. So I'll let you deal with that creeping insanity in an appropriate fashion. I mean, what?
I mean, like, because of what I'm going to assume is undead nature of you don't need to sleep or breathe. You can just spend a long rest doing something else.
Like light activity.
That's some kind of light activity.
Yeah.
I think I've been doing that this entire time. I just wanted to kind of narrow it down mechanically.
Take a Mordecai the vampire bard stays up at night, and only after he knows everyone's asleep, he brings out the knitting needles and he gets his work done.
Maybe he starts working on lyrics or reading a book or something of that sort.
But at the first moment someone stirs, hides it quickly. All right, so do. You have a long rest. The morning, well, it's a late morning by the time you all are up, and for those of you who need to say your prayers and take your vitamins, there's a little bit of time involved in there as well. So there's a breakfast downstairs. You get a good night's sleep. No one, crashes through your window to try and assassinate you. No one, sets the entire building on fire. So that's good. Your existences continue yet another day.
Okay.
Existing is one of my favorite things.
Same.
You're pretty good at it. You've existed for quite some time, Bright.
True. I've existed longer than everyone else in the party put together.
I haven't existed very long.
Kind of make us feel a little bit young comparatively.
Quite.
Well, let's be sure to get some pepper. I don't think it's going to work, but it's worth a try. Pepper's not very hard to come by.
The science. Do it for the science.
Yes, we'll get some pepper.
Available
we'll go
downstairs at the
outside.
breakfast buffet,
Yeah, so we'll do that. We'll go downstairs and get some stuff to eat first.
including bananas.
Mm,
But just beware, banana peppers are completely different.
That they are.
Bananas and peppers.
I don't know if they'll have any bananas. I'm pretty happy with just whatever they have, whether that's apples or whatever they've got.
You're paying. Well, you're not paying, but your food is paid for you, and it's quite a nice selection that's available to you all. It's not just the continental breakfast of, hey, there's a self-serve waffle bar and some cereal and a little
Ooh, waffles.
like a thing of milk. And there you go. There's your continental breakfast.
Yes, you should have waffles in RLI, because I mean, if we do this and it goes bad, you'll at least want a good breakfast to start the day.
Should make a con for my waffles.
Just the syrupy waffles.
Out of character, I got a mini waffle maker for Christmas that I've been using like crazy.
Oh, that sounds so good.
Yeah.
All right.
So, we'll have whatever.
Whatever's available.
I'm gonna.
I'm kind of bummed about bananas because the flower fields gave me bananas and then everything went bad, so I don't really want them anymore.
Oh no, you've been soured on bananas.
I'll try something else if there's something else.
Oh yeah, there's an assortment.
Okay.
What other foods are available in Uct?
Well, there's lots of things. I mean, we've got all kinds of fun fruit. We've got mangoes, and we've got they call them passion fruits, and it makes it sound like they taste really good, but they're actually kind of blah. And we've got kiwis, and we've got pomegranates. We've got all kinds of things, all kinds of fun fruits there. It's mostly like forests and jungles, so there's lots of different trees and tree fruits that grow there. We have oranges. Oranges are really nice. It's there's a lot of different plants there.
I used to eat a lot of seafood.
Oh,
Seafood.
I miss it.
never really liked seafood. There's a little stream that flows right through the middle of town, but we didn't eat too many of the fish out of it. Be our friends.
Fair enough.
Mordecai, do you need to take your morning constitutional to acquire your victuals for the day?
No, I'm good for today.
Okay. All right. Now, as you're perusing the buffet, you're sharing these tender moments. What's it like back home? These are very important, for character bonding and for character development. What exists in your corner of the world? What do you do? What are your eating habits and so forth? So you talk about that, Mordecai. You're carrying some leftover blood. A pepper is acquired and presumably brought up to you, or I don't know, brought over. Are you down with everyone, or are you kind of staying up in the room?
Who, me?
Yeah.
I participate wherever everybody else is.
Oh, sure. Okay. So
I don't brood and eat by myself.
you're welcome to do so. Who am I to presume such behavior?
Mordecai is a social creature.
All right. So then, are we conducting the pepper experiment here at the breakfast table?
Yeah, I mean, if somebody's gonna sneeze and let loose a chicken, where else other than in the like the common room would you want to do that? Doesn't seem like something that's enhanced by doing it in private.
Yeah, no, we didn't let it get too close to the
This way, in case something funny happens, everyone can watch.
I'm okay with this. I entertain for a living.
For the strategic application of pepper to the strange anatomy of a vampiric tiefling, I would like a medicine roll at disadvantage from someone. I mean, you have a pepper shaker. anyone can pick it up and use it. But whoever does.
Yes, I will attempt such things then. I will attempt to make Mordecai sneeze using the pepper.
Okay. So, Celine, very carefully wielding a pepper shaker with surgical precision. You know, lean your head back, Mordecai. See if we can get a couple of these pepper grounds where they're going to do the most good. Celine?
Yep.
Have at it. Medicine at disadvantage.
It's still an 18.
Nice.
I've got that surgical precision.
Okay. So you're going and strategically implanting peppercorns inside of Mordecai's nose. And as you
sound so weird.
it is you know, you're kind of wiggling around in there. You're trying to see, you know, what's in there that's working. What can you get to stimulate? What is gonna give that zing through the nose in order to cause a sneeze?
I take a deep inhale just to see if that helps.
And okay, so that's fine. You're working well with your surgeon here. You know, a couple people are gawking because when does this ever happen? And as you're applying the pepper, the pepper, you know, Mordecai, you do feel a tingle, but it's not the same as if you're having the biological reaction, right? Your body doesn't have the compulsion to filter the air or to react in various ways. Lowever, as Celine is messing around with pepper around your nose, the chicken stirs a bit, and the chicken stirs, and it starts kind of and Mordecai, you're no longer where you're sitting. In fact, the chicken is where you're sitting. And you have apparently been blown off the chicken. And you are sent you're sent about 10 feet back, kind of like laid out in front of some other people who are very politely not looking, but now they really can't. I mean, you have some oatmeal on you, my friend. And the chicken is now in your seat at the breakfast table you all were sharing. But you have been removed from the chicken. The chicken has not been removed from you. However, there's baby-faced Mordecai.
Celine looks around. Celine looks around the entire tavern before going, ta-da!
And the chicken begins pecking at the various cereals and whatnot that are on the table. Apparently hungry.
I motion to name the chicken Mordeclock.
Seconded.
Yeah, thirded.
Mordecluck. I stand up and I give an elegant and deep bow for the performance.
You do so. It actually, you know what? Make me a performance check. we'll just roll it straight up, and we'll see how well you deliver this. Do you stick the landing after all that's happened? 16, pretty darn decent. You get up, and you know what? You have oatmeal dripping down your freshly shorn cheek. You have, there is meal amongst you, and people are looking with curiosity and horror and amusement. There's a little kid eating there, just like, yay! And you... And I proudly present to all of you the aristocrats. And you deliver very well on the performance. And again, not everyone in the room knows exactly how to react, but it's not unfavorable. You have a neutral to good reaction amongst people. All the while then, Mordecluck is sitting in the chair just pecking at cereal and eating. Kind of goes over to a water, hops up on the table from the chair and just starts, pecking at the water, drinking it as well.
I pet the chicken.
Where it was attached to you, its wings share your blue color. So it's sort of like a big spot of blue, and then the other part of it is white.
We should just call it.
Anyone have a mirror? I want to make sure that I don't have a white patch.
I have a mirror. I'll show you.
Mordecai,
I have a mirror.
You are blue.
I mean, Mordecai, you want to know what comes? You know what comes next after this, right?
What?
We refuse the chicken to your face.
Celine, this is her being like a crazy medical experimenter. She probably just wants to like sew it back on.
No, I won't sew it back on. I'll see if we can, magic it back on. Hey, we'll take it with us, and maybe, whilst I'm dispelling Narwhal, it might just refuse to your face.
If you do
It's wild magic! I have no
will
control over what goes on.
end you.
We should keep Mordecluck, because we can get fresh eggs every.
I mean, to be fair, it's food.
Yeah.
Yeah, not the chicken.
That's so funny. I actually can't.
Thank you for the idea.
The party's in possession of a chicken. I don't know what you want to do with it.
Well,
We
Anyone who
named
wants
the
to
chicken,
pick it
so
up
we
my
can't just like give it to to cook. That wouldn't be fair.
Someone else
we
take
named it.
care of it.
So-
I don't
so-
want it anymore.
I think Norlai is going to have to take care of it. That's her sort of thing.
Yeah.
She's the pet owner.
You'd think
true.
I'd have proficiency in animal handling.
You are going to have a heartbreaking moment, Noralai, when you do get that fireball centered on you and all these 1 HP pets are going to get caught in the blast radius.
No, they're all gonna make their saves.
Yeah. That's positive thinking.
I can make them make their saves. I have cancel spell.
Even if it invokes another fireball centered on me, I will get advantage on that.
I mean, technically, if I'm carrying them and I make the save.
True. If you're carrying them, they don't get hurt.
So you've had an eventful breakfast, and you're laughing, and maybe, one of you is like, Jade's not here, unfortunately, to be a part of this. But Jade is presumably still somewhere out there, but she hasn't kind of shambled her way back in to the breakfast buffet here, available to you as the VIPs of the Tumbled Wench.
Well, I maybe had about where we should go next is there's. Do you guys think that the Temple of Weejas is gonna be a little bit more effective at information, right?
Yes.
But so yeah.
But then
it's
again,
really
I'm
far.
biased.
That is far. Yeah.
Which direction was the Temple of Weejas?
That's at the Fazurke,
Oh.
the old port.
No, I don't want to. I want it south.
It's southwest.
Yeah, but not that south. I wanted
Well-
to go south then west.
When we were talking to your brother Loki when we met him, he said he was going to Greenshield. That's on that side of the island.
So that's
It's on that. It's on that. No, Greenshield is to the southwest in the general direction of Old Port, but it's a little bit more inland and a bit close to us.
Yeah.
We were heading to Greenshield too at one point.
When you guys said that. So
Well,
that
we
was
were heading
north
to
of
Brown.
us.
We were heading to Browbeat.
We
We were
at
heading to
Browbeat
Browbeat.
when you told me that.
Yeah, we said that we saw him in Mask and Flowers and that he was headed south. I don't know that we explicitly said Greenshield at the moment, but
Yeah, you guys just said south, so I thought far south.
So the only thing I know
You
about
guys are bad at
Greenshield
explaining things.
in my notes, the only thing
I'm
I know
the
about
worst.
Greenshield is that we were going to go there to get the
earn some money.
Plant for Symphonics.
the bird. There was like a bird. We have to collect that, or maybe it was the tree with the magic sap. I don't remember, but either
was
way,
the
that was
tree.
in Greenshield. But
It was the tree with the magic sap. Yes, but
there's not anything
no,
about Loki
when-
and that.
so Noralai, when we met Loki, right?
Yes.
He was traveling north as we were traveling south.
So you guys told me he was going south.
He was going
But we're
north.
correcting ourselves now.
Eh,
He's going to Greenshield.
He was going to Greenshield,
No,
and
let's go to
Greenshield is to
Greenshield.
the southwest.
Let's
So we
go
want to be going in that direction anyway.
Okay, we can go there.
Yeah, I mean, Noralai,
So
you're,
shall we
you're
head
pretty
in?
much in the northern tip of Mesomaska, so
Yeah,
about
but they
everything
told me
is
to
literally
when we were in
south.
Browbeat.
I mean, technically it was kind of south in comparison to Browbeat, but it's
Shield
also
is
like,
north of Robbie.
oh, okay.
Looking at
Well,
the
then
map.
someone-
You guys
then-
are bad
then
at
someone-
directions.
someone screwed up their explanation. But
This whole
No,
time
was
I'm
that
like,
me?
oh, let's go south.
might have
If
been.
that was me, I apologize.
But no, it's okay. It's okay. We can
Well,
go to
we
Greenshield.
We were explicit on explaining that if we passed them on the road going north. So the only way they could have been going was south. The assumption was on Noralai.
None of you guys.
Fair.
One sec.
But no, I know what the quest was. We were supposed to be gathered because Symphonix, all of Symphonix's things were plant based. All of
Mhm.
Symphonix's quests, and we were supposed to be finding a particular tree
Mhm.
which produced a particular kind of sap, and he wanted a sample for his research. And he would be in Greenshield for 2 weeks, which is probably gone now.
No, he
I
said
mean,
he'll be
unless
there
we
in
leave-
2 weeks.
We look at
Well,
this,
yes,
I
he did.
realized that there was a magic crystal growing into that tree too. So
And that flying
that's
thing
interesting.
had been seen in the area.
Yeah, but the flying things weren't the interesting part. It's that now we know more about the crystals than we used to. What color was Norlai's crystal?
It's purple.
Oh, okay, so we definitely need to go there then.
Mm.
It links up, so we
Okay.
should have a look.
Let's do that then.
Fair enough.
Right,
gonna
and,
have to-
I mean, we're going that way anyway, so we could either head up the other side of the mountain pass to the monastery, or we could make the trip to Old Port.
I am going to put something on the table here and say that I don't want to go to the monastery. I am afraid of heights.
Then we'll go to Old
Oh.
Port.
I don't like
By
that
Greenshield first.
either, but
It's on the way.
It's better than the alternative.
I know that's why I'm willing. But
Okay. So that's what we're gonna do. But before we do any of that, we need to find Jade!
Bright, throw me an investigation real quick.
Me?
Yep.
Okay.
20's respectable. I mean, look, you guys are like level 5 or whatever now, so I'm looking for like 32, but I'll accept a 20.
Look for like 32.
32, that's pleb level.
Yeah, that's...
You need a 45 up in here.
Bards.
With my expertise.
Given the discussion that you all are having, and I mean, your little brain's churning out ideas left and right here, you know, this character you did meet, you know, did alert you to, at first, a very interesting flower that had interesting properties. You know, he was able to use those and manipulate it and do things with that flower. And the second time you met, he asked you to go elsewhere and seek out another flower, and also regarding some plant life that is unique. It has these crystals, you know, or sap, and especially there was a special flower that was given to you by name. And the name of that flower sounds familiar, and now that you're scratching your noggin and you're getting that little bit of extra because of you know, getting that 20, one of Ripple's children was named after that flower. You know, so maybe it has sentimental value, or you know, if it was supposed to be a rare, obscure thing because you know you had a person who's willing to pay you money or whatever. In order to go find it. I mean, Ripple is a member of the Flowerfield family, but now that your brain is churning out some ideas, here are possible connections that your brainy bits are zapping electricity back and forth regarding.
So it's the Solaris flower, I'm sure, is the one you're talking about.
Correct.
But
Yeah, the Star Solaris.
I mean, that was kind of our plan, was to things as soon as we dropped off Tibba, but we kind of got bogged down into the Tibba thing after he got kidnapped. But I would be completely happy to pick up the quest of collecting flowers and bits and making those connections again. If we can we're going to have to get away from the flower fields because he gave us all that stuff, right? He gave us the rings and things. I guess we don't have to give them back right now. We can just like check out of the hotel and hang on to them. And
I could check with my friend, see how much he's willing to pay for them.
Maybe. I don't necessarily want to do it that way because yeah, we could do that, but then we don't have them anymore, and like, what if he wants them back? And we'll be like, we hawked them, sorry. Could be really embarrassing.
You could just say that the hotel staff's...
That'd be even more suspicious, I think, than them just disappearing.
Yeah, but people steal things all the time.
I mean, if we want to steal things, we can go steal some Corpus Creeper seeds. He wants those.
Yeah.
Well, you have a couple plans. I'll tell you what, I at least need to get up and take like a 5-minute break. I might get some more water and top off here. So why don't we take about 5 minutes, refresh yourselves, do what you got to do, and then we'll come back. And there's a couple different options. Although it does sound like finding Jade is of a primary concern, especially if you want to consider plans. And Jade would be, you know, presumably wanting to be in on it, or you'd want her to be in on it, whether or not she does. And so why don't we come back in a little bit here, and then we'll continue on. Is that all right?
Perfect.
Cool. All right.
Fine with me.
5 minutes, everyone.